Okay, picture this. The Kaseya Center in Miami, October 9th. It's supposed to be this amazing moment, right? The start of the Hit Me Hard and Soft tour.
Yeah, huge energy. And Billie Eilish, she does this thing. She moves right up to the front barrier. It's deliberate. It's all about connection, trust.
Thousands of phones up, everyone capturing it. But then, just like that, the vibe shifts. It doesn't just shift, it gets toxic.
Completely. That closeness, the very thing she offered, it gets twisted, weaponized, really.
Hmm.
An audience member reaches out, but it's not like a high five. It's possession.
Aggressively yanked,
Yeah.
twisted, slammed against that cold metal divider. I mean, it's shocking when you see the footage.
And that physical act, it wasn't just some security slip-up. No,
Yeah.
it felt like a rupture, like breaking this unspoken agreement between the performer and the fans.
Yeah, and it's forced this whole conversation, this reckoning in the music world about safety, about what fans think they're entitled to.
And that is exactly the story we are diving deep into today. Welcome to Starscope Report. We're the show that gets into the Hollywood drama, the music industry shakeups, all those viral influencer scandals.
And today, our mission is to really unpack how this physical assault on Billie Eilish down in Miami became this huge flashpoint, this critical look at the social contract of performing live.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this era of super intense fandom, bordering on obsessive sometimes, when trying to connect actually invites violence, how do artists even stay safe?
Exactly. Let's get into the details of that moment. We're calling it the act of intimacy that became an act of assault.
Right. And what's really key here, based on the reports, is that this wasn't some random move, this walking the barrier. It's a regular thing for her. It's a, quote, frequent part of the show.
It's part of her brand, right? That authenticity, being accessible. She's there, smiling, giving high fives. It's supposed to be this shared moment.
Absolutely. Giving them that piece of connection. But then, bam, instantaneous switch from, give and take to just violation.
We're talking about a guy, black hoodie, cap, no warning, just suddenly grabs her arm. And not just grabs, violently twists it. Enough force to stop her dead and slam her into the barrier.
And the media descriptions, they weren't pulling punches. They used words like aggressively yanked, violently dragged, forcibly grabbed, because that's what it looked like. It was physical seizure control. Almost pulled her right over.
It's just, yeah. And that really highlights the paradox, doesn't it? The very thing fans love, her being accessible, offer that connection, is what puts her at such immense physical risk.
Definitely. And that fan exploited that, offered trust. Deliberately.
Now, obviously, the blame is 100% on the person who did it. But it does raise questions about the performance itself, doesn't it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the issue isn't her choosing to connect. The fundamental problem is the mindset of that individual, thinking a ticket somehow grants ownership over her body, her space, that entitlement.
That's a really important distinction.
Yep.
Okay. But still, the system, the security around her, has to deal with the reality that this is her style. This intimacy needs, a different kind of protection.
Absolutely. And you see her reaction, right? Reports say she looked visibly shaken, startled, quite upset. There's this tense, confused look back.
But then instinct takes over. It's almost scary professionalism. Flips her hair, mic still in hand, and boom, she's back in the show. Seconds later.
It's like this ingrained trauma response that stars probably have to develop. Process the assault instantly, prioritize the show over your own shock and fear. It's kind of wild.
She kept going. Like a total pro. But what happened to the guy who did it? That's where the story gets really interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe frustrating.
Yeah. The official response, or maybe the lack of one, tells you a lot about the system.
Okay, and if you're finding these deep dives into the twists and turns of Hollywood and music compelling, make sure you hit subscribe to Starscope Report. We do this all the time, digging into these complex stories. And this story leads us right here. Ejection, but no charges. That's the disconnect. So what happened immediately, officially?
Well, the Miami police confirmed it. The guy was ejected from the Kaseya Center. Simple as that. Removed. Thread over for the moment. Okay, ejected. But, and this is the crucial part for understanding this whole thing, multiple reports confirmed no criminal charges are currently pending.
Right.
Which basically means the legal system viewed this violent physical act as just breaking the venue rules, like sneaking in a flask or something. Not a crime, not battery.
Wow. So assault treated as just a house rule violation.
Exactly. And that gap, that justice gap between what happened and the official consequence, it created this void. And Eilish and her team, silence. No official statement.
Which left the narrative completely open.
Yeah.
And who filled it?
The fans. Social media just exploded. It became this kind of online court, basically. And the main theme was this feeling of dehumanization.
How so?
Just pure fury that she was treated like an object to be grabbed, like a doll. And they were really specific about language, too.
I saw that. They were pushing back hard,
It's
insisting media use the word assaulted, not just grabbed.
Precisely. They wanted the language to reflect the severity, the gravity that they felt was totally missing from the official reaction. They recognized this wasn't just some overeager fan moment.
And there was fear in there too, right? Like anxiety that this one crazed fan, as they put it, is going to ruin it for everyone else.
That artists will just retreat, build higher walls, start doing the things like walking the barrier because the risk is too high.
Yeah.
That the good fans lose out because of the actions of one person who isn't held properly accountable.
It's a massive disconnect. When the system treats violence like that with such minimal consequences, it sends a really dangerous signal. It basically says, yeah, you can do this and you'll just get kicked out.
And that corrodes trust. The trust needed for these live events to even work, especially when artists want that closeness.
But here's the thing. This isn't a one-off. As shocking as the Miami incident was, it's actually just the latest, maybe the most violent example in this really disturbing pattern that's followed Billie Eilish for years.
Yeah, you have to zoom out to see the full picture. To really get the significance of Miami, you need to look at her history. This isn't new territory for her, unfortunately, which leads to this idea of a practiced survival mechanism. She's had to learn how to handle this kind of peril.
It's actually pretty sobering when you lay it out. This goes way beyond just the stage. She's faced this relentless pattern for harassment that's needed, like serious legal intervention in her private life.
Multiple restraining orders. We're talking 3 separate 5-year orders, 2020, 2021, 2023, against different individuals, people showing up at her family home repeatedly.
That shows this deep, dangerous sense of entitlement that some people feel, not just to her performance, but to her actual life. Like, they have a right to her private space.
Exactly. It's a desire for possession over her whole existence, and then you put that alongside what happens on stage.
It connects, doesn't it? Like back in 2019, a fan literally put their hand around her neck while she was in the crowd. That's terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying. And then there's the constant issue of things being thrown at her. For 6 years, apparently. Necklaces, bracelets, phones, just pelted with objects.
And she's talked about it herself, hasn't she? Acknowledging that maybe sometimes it comes from a place of love, but that it's also absolutely infuriating and flat out dangerous.
She gets it. She sees the danger. The Miami incident, in a way, it just violently connected the dots between that obsessive stalker mentality and the kind of boundary pushing that happens, sometimes even gets normalized at concerts.
And like we said, this isn't just a Billie Eilish problem anymore. It feels systemic now. Her experience is just one part of this wider contagion of disrespect happening across live music, is bringing that whole conversation back to the forefront.
It really is. And just listing the names, Bebe Rexha getting hit in the face with a phone, needing stitches, Ava Max getting slapped on stage, Harry Styles hit with a Skittle. It highlights the trend, but we need to dig into the why.
Right. It feels like a breakdown of boundaries. Why are these micro threats, as you call them, happening so much now?
Well, the analysis seems to point to a couple of key psychological drivers. First, these intense parasocial relationships.
Where fans feel like they genuinely know the artist personally.
Exactly. And that feeling, that false intimacy, can breed this really dangerous sense of entitlement. Like, I know her, so I have the right to touch her, to interact physically. It gives them the audacity.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the second driver?
This one's maybe even more disturbing. It's the quest for virality.
Meaning?
Meaning the goal isn't just to see the show anymore. For some people, it's about creating a moment that goes viral. Becoming part of the story themselves, even if that means doing something outrageous or violent.
Wow. Like the guy who hit Bebe Rexha, didn't he say something about why he did it?
Reportedly, yeah. He said he thought it would be funny. Just chilling. Thinking assaulting someone would be funny because it might get views online. That pursuit of a viral moment just overrides everything else. Morality, safety, basic human decency.
That is chilling, and it completely changes the security challenge, doesn't it? It means the problem isn't just controlling a big crowd anymore.
Precisely. Large-scale crowd control, generally, venues are pretty good at that. The real failure point now is neutralizing these micro-threats. That single individual, the rogue audience member who decides to throw something or grab someone.
How do you even do that? Especially when artists like Billie want that closeness. Security is usually about maintaining distance, creating a buffer.
It's a huge challenge. Security has to shift from managing the collective to somehow identifying individual intent. How do you spot the one person in a crowd of thousands who's about to do something harmful?
It sounds almost impossible without some serious changes.
It might require things like advanced surveillance, maybe even behavioral analysis tech, or potentially pre-screening people who get front row access, which is, a massive operational change and definitely alters the whole fan experience.
Yeah, drastically.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is the old security model focused on distance just doesn't work when the artist intentionally closes that distance.
Right. And the really sad conclusion here is that this trust, this fragile connection between performers and audiences, it feels like it's been seriously damaged, maybe even irrevocably.
That barricade. It used to just be a physical thing, right? Crowd management.
Yeah, but now, after Miami, it feels symbolic. It's a line of respect. And that line was just wiped out, violently erased. The magic of that shared live experience, it feels genuinely at risk now.
So where does the industry go from here? It feels like a real crossroads.
Seems like there are only two main paths, realistically. One is what you could call an artistic retreat.
Meaning artists pull back. Less intimacy, more distance, maybe more barriers.
Yeah.
Walled off for safety.
Yeah. Replacing that accessibility with isolation out of necessity, which would be a huge loss for the concert experience.
Okay, what's the other path?
The alternative is a massive security escalation. We're talking way more intense surveillance, maybe biometric scanning, much more restrictive screening, complex protocols to vet anyone getting close.
So either the artists retreat or the venues become fortresses.
Basically, because that fan contract, that unwritten agreement, it's been broken. And the price of trying to maintain that intimate connection has suddenly become incredibly dangerously high. So the final thought for you listening this week is this. Knowing what drives that sense of entitlement, the chase for viral moments, what can actually be done, what specific practical policies could venues and artists put in place to protect performers from these individual assaults without completely killing the spontaneity and connection that makes live music so powerful? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we unpack the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture.
Stay tuned and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what we dive into next week. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.